Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to completely dismantle pretty much everything you thought you knew about attraction. Look, if you've ever felt just utterly exhausted trying to remember the right things to say or the right way to stand or exactly how many minutes to wait before texting someone back, you are absolutely in the right place. Today we're exploring a massive paradigm shift. It's called the natural man framework, and the core idea here is incredibly liberating. Effortless attraction isn't about learning a bunch of new tricks or building this cool fake new persona. It is entirely about unlearning.
Listen to this profound truth from our source material. You are not born anxious around women. You were taught to be. And what was taught can be untaught. I really want you to just let that sink in for a second. So much modern dating advice basically tells you that you're fundamentally broken, right? Like you're lacking something, and you need to memorize all these weird scripts or apply psychological tactics just to get someone to like you. It's incredibly frustrating. But the material we're digging into today absolutely validates that frustration. It argues that the anxiety you feel isn't a permanent flaw. It's just learned behavior. So today, we're setting the stage for uncovering that natural, confident guy who is already sitting right there underneath all that anxiety.
To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at a story from the text about a guy named Corinne. Now, Corinne is that guy, the one other men secretly envy. He's not the best-looking dude in the room, he's not the wealthiest, but he is undeniably magnetic. Women naturally gravitate toward him, and conversations with him feel electric, but also totally effortless. Well, a friend finally cornered him one day and demanded to know his secret, assuming he was hiding some crazy technique. And Corinne was just genuinely confused. He looked at his friend and said, "I just genuinely like myself. I'm not performing anything. What you see is just me." His secret wasn't a tactic at all. It was the complete and total absence of a performance.
Section 1. The myth of the natural. Unlearning the performance.
We really need to break down what it actually means to be a natural because honestly, we tend to completely misunderstand this whole concept. We treat it like it's some genetic lottery win that we just happen to lose out on. But a natural is simply a guy who, for whatever reason, never fully absorbed the social conditioning that makes the rest of us perform. He is not running a script in his head. He's not constantly monitoring a woman's reactions and micro-adjusting his behavior to try and please her. Instead, he operates from this baseline state of relaxed presence. He has genuine curiosity about the person right in front of him. He's just present and totally indifferent to getting constant momentary approval. And it's that combination that people mistake for natural charisma.
Section 2. The armor of conditioning. Accumulation versus development. So, it begs the question, if we weren't born anxious, how did we lose this natural state? Well, think about how a young child interacts with the world, their childhood default. There is zero calculation going on. A child is completely present, they say exactly what they're thinking, and they show interest without a single drop of embarrassment. That magnetic, spontaneous kid, he is still inside you. But over the years, you went through what the text calls adult accumulation. You were constantly told to be less of this or more of that, you faced rejection, you absorbed all this social programming, and you basically learned to suppress yourself just to stay safe. You didn't develop a new personality, you built up this really heavy suit of armor. And while that armor kept you safe when you were younger, it is exactly the thing keeping genuine connection at a distance right now. So the crucial point is this. The goal is not to become someone new, it is to stop being someone you were never supposed to be. Think about that. You don't need to read another heavy book to construct a brand new so-called alpha male personality. You just need to systematically drop the armor. That's the real work. Section 3. 3 qualities of attraction. The core framework. But what does it actually look like when that armor is finally gone? Well, according to years of observation detailed in our source text, the difference between the men who attract effortlessly and the men who struggle constantly comes down to 3 main qualities: comfort in his own skin, genuine self-expression, and non-attachment to outcome. Notice how it's not about looks or money or status, and the absolute best part is that these aren't fixed personality types. They are orientations. That means literally anyone. Whether you're a massive introvert, an extrovert, whatever your background, you can cultivate them. Let's break these down one by one. First up, comfort in your own skin. This basically means having a deeply stable sense of your own identity and your core values. You don't fidget with your personality depending on who you're talking to. You aren't playing the chameleon, trying to blend into whatever you think a woman wants you to be. That kind of internal stability is felt almost instantly by other people, and trust me, it is incredibly attractive.
The second quality is genuine self-expression. This is the habit of saying what you actually think and feel, without running it through that exhausting internal filter that's always asking, wait, will she approve of this? Now, let's be absolutely clear here. This does not mean you abandon all social grace and just become blunt or tactless, using being honest as an excuse to be a jerk. Not at all.
It just means being real. You express your genuine enthusiasm, your genuine opinions. True realness is so incredibly rare these days that when a woman actually encounters it, it's immediately magnetic.
And the final quality is non-attachment to outcome. The source actually notes this is perhaps the hardest one to cultivate, but it's also the most powerful. It means being interested but not desperate. You pursue, sure, but you do not chase. You are fully present in the interaction, but there's this quality of spaciousness to it. You aren't gripping the conversation with white knuckles, absolutely terrified that she might leave. You're fine if she stays, and you know what? You're totally fine if she goes too.
Section 4. Stopping the performance. The story of Rahul.
To give you a real-world proof of concept for dropping these dating scripts, let's talk about Rahul's story. Rahul came to the author after having studied absolutely everything. He knew all the body language tricks, the psychological theory of frames, all the supposedly perfect texting rules. He was basically treating a date like it was a computer program. And shockingly, he was completely exhausted. He felt like he was clocking in for a miserable shift at work every single time he talked to a woman, just monitoring every single variable. So the author gave him a terrifying but totally liberating instruction. Stop. Stop all the techniques, no rules, no strategy. Just show up and treat the date as a person. Be the unfiltered, completely unoptimized version of yourself. If you say the wrong thing, oh well, you say the wrong thing. Just actually be there in the moment.
And this brilliantly illustrates the entire philosophy we're talking about today. The result of Rahul dropping the act was amazing. 6 weeks later, he reported back that he was actually genuinely enjoying his dates. He wasn't drained anymore, and the best part? One of those dates turned into a real, meaningful connection, and she specifically praised him for being, get this, so comfortable with himself. By stopping the exhausting performance, Rahul achieved the exact result he had been so desperately studying for all along.
Now we do need to address a quick caveat here. Authenticity is not a free pass for selfishness or aggression. Authentic care means you are considerate and warm because those are your genuine values. You actually genuinely want to be kind. Transactional care, on the other hand, which is exactly what a lot of these nice guy performances often boil down to, is when you're kind simply because you are afraid of her reaction or because you need something from her in return. Make no mistake, women can absolutely feel the difference. Authentic care is grounded, and it's completely real.
Section 5. Excavating your authentic self. Uncovering what's already there.
So the big question is, how do we actually do this? I'm going to give you some highly actionable steps straight from the source material. This is a grounding exercise, and I highly encourage you to set aside 20 minutes, put your phone in another room, and actually do it. Step 1. Write down 10 adjectives that describe you at your absolute best when you are just fully in your element. Step 2. Look at that list and circle the 3 qualities that feel so deeply true to who you are that you'd refuse to give them up, even if someone criticized you for them. Step 3. Write a sentence for each one. I am this word. This shows up in my life when this specific real-world example happens. And step 4. Keep these visible. Write them on a sticky note. Put them on your mirror. This is the foundation of the true identity you are bringing to the surface.
But there is a massive rule here that you absolutely cannot ignore. This is excavation, not construction. Do not pick aspirational words. If you aren't a naturally spontaneous guy, do not write down spontaneous just because you think that's what women like. You are not building a cool new persona from scratch here. You are digging up the absolute best traits that already exist right inside of you.
And as a quick note, the source text mentions that while this explainer gives you a really solid map, there's actually an entire accompanying course available. It features a full week dedicated strictly to this identity excavation process, with structured exercises to move this from just a purely intellectual understanding into your actual lived reality. It's totally optional, but it's there for those who really want to do the deep, structured work. Let's move to and see how this builds as we close this out with some necessary, albeit slightly uncomfortable reflection questions. First, what parts of your personality do you tend to hide or soften in romantic contexts, and why? Do you hide your nerdy hobbies? Do you soften your bolder opinions? What exactly are you afraid will happen if you actually show them? Now consider this one. Think of a specific time you completely changed your opinion or your behavior around a woman just because you feared her reaction. What exactly were you protecting in that moment? Was it your ego? Or maybe your chances of a second date?
And finally, I really want to leave you with this provocative thought. If you knew, absolutely with 100% certainty, that she would like you regardless of what you said, how would you behave differently right now? Would you stand a little taller? Would you laugh a little louder? Would you speak your mind more freely? The
The places where you are currently the most reluctant to be yourself are exactly the places where your most magnetic attraction is waiting to be freed. Stop performing, start excavating. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.